All right, how's it going, you guys? Another Wednesday, another live stream. Welcome all you new students that are here. Thank you very much for joining us. I always love to see new students in here watching the live streams. We are apparently on episode 13, right, Donna? So I listed this as episode 12, but I guess it's 13. So I hope you guys can all hear me okay. Is the sound volume, is it well? Can you guys see me? Let me see. Let me make sure. I'm going to turn the sound off so you guys can't hear double sound. Should be good. Okay. Just making sure we're all good before I get going. So I have a couple news items really quick. I don't know if I should save these for the Q&A anyway. I just got back from the Kajabi Impact Summit is what it was, Impact Summit. And Kajabi is they are the people who host the course. That's where I keep all the course. That's where all my videos live and everything. And that's where you signed up, and that's where the community is, everything. So it was super duper impactful, really, really cool stuff. And the biggest, that's why I wasn't here on Monday. I wasn't streaming live for Pixologic on Monday, or I didn't do the Q&A session on Friday because I was gone. I was out of town. So sorry you guys that miss me. Miss you guys too. Anyway, it's desync. So my voice is out of sync. I was wondering about that. I just barely recorded a live recording and my voice was out of sync. I'm not sure. Yeah, I got to figure that out. I've got to figure that out, why it's out of sync. Anyway, is it out of sync for anyone else? So yeah, the Kajabi heads. I sculpted the CEO and the vice president for Kajabi. That was kind of fun. Anyway, the biggest takeaway that I got from that to share with you guys is they talked about what they're going to do with upgrading Kajabi. I talked to the programmers about the community feedback that you guys have given us, or given us. And I've passed that on to the programmers. And I know that a lot of the comments and posts get lost really quickly, and the feed is really narrow. The reason it's narrow is because of mobile. I'm trying to get them to add in the ability to click on someone and see all of the posts and all the comments that they've commented on. So you could find your old, it's out of sync everywhere. Good here, not too crazy. Okay. You did, Ariel, check your spam, check your trash, because I like to go to trash, I guess. But make sure you get it and you say this is okay to get, and hopefully it won't get in your trash again. If it went, you should have gotten it. Just listen and don't watch. Okay, but thanks, Ariel, for the feedback. Anyway, what was I going to say? So I talked about that, talked about the ability to, and then having a button to go all the way to the top. After you've scrolled for a while, you're like, where did the navigation go? I can't get back to the top. So I'd like them to put a get back to the top button in there. Also, one of the really, really cool things that they said was they're going to put in, or they're building a mobile app for both iOS and Android for Kajabi. So the 3D Character Workshop will have its own mobile app where you can waste time in the community scrolling through everybody's awesome art and getting feedback and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super duper excited for that mobile app. Hopefully they'll make the community better based on that mobile app. And because the biggest problem I have with the community right now is it's not on some kind of social media network like Facebook or something like that where a lot of people are spending their time. So it seems like it's getting a little less love than the Google Plus community was that we had. So I'm hoping that the mobile app will allow people to spend a little more time in there and, keep it alive, keep it going. So there goes your life. Anyway, yes, really, really exciting. 3D Character Workshop mobile app. That'll be awesome. And it'll be branded the 3D Character Workshop. It won't be branded Kajabi. So it's really, really, really cool. And I'm so glad they're doing that. So anyway, yeah. super cool. I don't know when it'll be done. I don't know when it's going to roll out, but I just know that the community is going to get better than it is. It's working, but I know it's going to get better than it is. And then I also know that the mobile app is coming, and I've talked to them about putting a calendar over on the right-hand side of the community so you can know when I'm going live, and hopefully I can put links in there and you can see where I'm at, what I'm doing, and that kind of stuff, and what other people are doing inside the workshop, that kind of stuff. So hopefully, yeah, no social media affiliation. No, I want to keep it separate. We want to stay out of social media, but I want to be just as active as social media. Does that make sense? I don't want to tie into that in any way, but I just want more people active in there. That's all. And I'm talking to you guys, and you guys are the active guys. So I don't know why I'm preaching to you. So thank you very much for being here and spending your time with me live. Let's get to it, you guys. So this is kind of where we left off last week, but I spent the last 20 minutes kind of messing around with the nanomesh stuff a little bit more. Let's see. So, oh yes, Angelo, I did tell them I did talk about carousel images, multiple images in one post. I did pass that information on as well. Yep. I find the workshop site difficult to spend a long time on because of the lack of easy links instead of just scrolling. So Lucky, which one are you talking about for that? Are you talking about in the course itself or in the community, or what are you talking about for that? I'd love to hear your feedback. So thank you very much. Okay. Anyway, while you're commenting on that, I want to show you where I ended up with the chainmail, and it is quite slow because I forgot to make it into an actual mesh after our last episode. So when I opened this guy again, my nano mesh was gone. It was just gone. I'm like, did I save it? What happened to it? And it was just gone. So I had to actually redo the links, and this time I feel like the links are looking better than they did before. And again, Live Boolean is slowing things down. It's much faster with Live Boolean off. So I need to finish doing the Live Boolean and making these an actual mesh so I don't have to have Live Boolean on anymore. So the reason the nano mesh disappeared is because it's kind of like fiber mesh. Nano mesh, fiber mesh, they're kind of the same, where when you're editing them, they're just temporary. They're just there as just a kind of a temporary visual. And if you remember last episode, I was struggling with applying color to them, and now it makes sense, because the reason I couldn't apply color is because they weren't really there, if that makes sense. So, okay, let's see. Yeah. Well, it did turn out to be a happy accident because these turned out to look better than they did before. But I wanted to show you guys what I did over the last 20 minutes before the live stream, just so I can catch you guys up. As you can see, the Z Modeler brush now has a ring instead of a cube. If you notice, when you first start ZBrush and you click on the Z Modeler brush, it will have a polysphere up here. That polysphere that's the default insert mesh that comes with the Z Modeler brush, and you have to attach this ring to it. And what I did was I just went over to the default ruler file. Yes, they were instanced but not finalized. Correct, Stephen. So I went over to the ruler sphere file, and I replaced the sphere with a ring, just like I did last episode, just by going into this menu and selecting ring. You know, that's just the gizmo menu. Selecting ring, adjusting it to the parameters that I wanted, and then I just left it there. But I did make it an insert multi-mesh by hitting B on the keyboard and then doing create insert mesh and creating a new one. And what that did was that created a new insert multi-mesh, and that allowed me to access that multi-mesh and insert it into this is like, it's hard to explain, so I'll say it slowly. So then I could select my Z Modeler brush and then append a nano mesh to the Z Modeler brush. which is this ring right here. You can see that. And you just do that the same way. If you have the Z-Modeler brush selected, you hit B and hit Create Nanomesh Brush. And I had some kind of trouble going back and forth, and I was able to pop it right there. So now it's like I'm pointing at my screen, like you can see what I'm talking about. But it's right here. Okay, yeah, on the forum I normally like having smaller posts with a lot more content on the side, like top posts, user profiles, recommended links like the interviews, maybe an easy way to access new lessons. Yeah, I can put all that stuff on the side, Lucky. Could you do me a favor? Could you send me maybe a small list of some of the things that you would like to see on that right-hand side? I can populate that right-hand side with whatever, but I can't, at this point right now in time, I can't really access current posts. Like I can't link back to certain posts, but I can link to anything inside the workshop itself right now. So if you'd like to see any links to any specific lessons over on the right-hand side, or maybe modules or something, I can link to those, but to link to specific posts, I'm also trying to get them to add a top row, so I can do a top row like ZBrush Central does. I'd really like to have that on there, and they know that as well. So hopefully it'll just get better. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay. Anyway, so let's go back to Sirloin here. I started with, here, let me duplicate this. Duplicate this off again. I'm going to solo this and then get rid of these rings so you can watch exactly what I did. Delete hidden. Countdown timer for challenges would be fun and stressful. I'm almost done with that, with the challenge lesson that I'm going to couple with this I can't say this month's challenge. It's already the 10th of this month. But this next challenge, I'm trying to get the lesson out so you guys can watch the lesson and learn it and then do the challenge based off that lesson. I'm really close. I'm getting there. Okay. So you have to save the brush you create somewhere? Yes, that's true, Lord Humongous. You have to do that in order to get it to come back. Yeah, I gotta figure that out. If it's more of a central hub, that'd be kind of cool. So I'll see if I can get that figured out. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, here we go. So this is the mesh that we did have last episode. Let's brighten it up just a little bit, and you can see that the squares are they're not perfect. They're not perfect squares. They're elongated down here. And over here, they're not perfectly square, but it's going to work. It's going to work for what we need. So what I was thinking about is I want to insert these rings. So what I did is I hit the space bar and insert Nanomesh Polygroup All, click and drag, and it draws the rings on there, right? And what I did was I figured out that these rings were way too large based off of the concept. In Chesswada, that's coming as soon as I can get it done. This lesson that I'm working on is the first part of that. So I'm going to kind of drip it to you guys instead of just keep it hidden forever. I'm just going to try and get it to you guys as soon as possible, one chunk at a time, kind of like Stan Prokopenko does over at Proko.com. He's been dripping his out to his students for a while. So I'm just going to try and do it that way and get it done as fast as possible. And I would love to know what you guys think about it as soon as I get that first one done. Okay, anyway. So now that I have these rings drawn out, now it's time to edit them. I showed you last time. What we need to do is go into the Nanomesh over here under Tools. And then the first thing we want to do is align it. So we want to align these to normal. It looks like they were already aligned to normal, but sometimes they'll get off and they won't be aligned perfectly. So I turned on align to normal, and then I want they are already proportional. Because if I hit fill, you'll see that they'll take on the shape of the underlying square, that if it's not a square, it's going to make the ring stretched. So we already talked about that. And so we want proportional, but I didn't want the rings this big. They're just too big. So even if I rotate these rings a little bit and then rotate them a little bit in this direction, so they look like they're interchained or whatever, right? What you can do is you can tile them. So I can come into this H tile and V tile and type in a 2 instead, and then a 2 in vertical, and now it's doubling up on the rings. So now it's more dense. It looks more like the concept itself. So let's get that concept in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Reference. Here we go. Getting it. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much the main thing that I did. But you can see how small these rings are around here, and how small they are on his arm. So I wanted to get them smaller than I had them before. And I can ignore some of this stretched out area because it's going to be covered by that armor. But I like this density a lot more. And when I'm happy with it, when I'm done with it, what you need to do is, we talked about it in the last episode, but I didn't do it, is you need to click on inventory and click on 1 to mesh. So as soon as I do that, then as you can see, it actually makes all of these a mesh. Okay, so pretty crazy. But now it's going to slow us down because there's so much. So let's go back to Subtool, and you can see all of these, right? So the what? The concept looks like he has a cuff on the chainmail below the neck, more like a pullover. I think this part right here is just a wrinkle in the chainmail. It's not necessarily 2 parts or anything like that. If that's what you're talking about, I think it's just kind of like, yeah, it's just kind of hanging and folding on itself right there. So I'll try and get that in here when we pose it. Okay, so this is the chainmail I just made. This is the chainmail I made before. I'm going to delete this one. We have too many. So here's the big ring chainmail that I made. It's just ugly. Look at that. Just really big, really big pieces. So I'm going to delete that as well. We don't need that. So now we have, it's kind of hard to see. Let me change the background color. If you guys don't know how to change the background color, it's really easy. All you do is select a color back here. I'm going to go kind of a medium gray instead of this dark gray. And then you just go to Document and then click on this word back. And click that, and it's going to change the background color. Now you can see it better. You guys see that better? Okay. So now if I turn off solo, we can see all the parts. And his shoulders look really weird, and this part down here looks really weird because those, if you can remember, those are the objects that we used in our live Boolean to build out this this center armor piece. Okay, so I'm gonna hit live Boolean again, and you can see it. Whoop, looks like we had our chainmail hidden. There we go. Looks like a wool sweater. Oh, funny. So and yeah, this chainmail is a bit more on the green side, so we can grab this color and turn on our, make sure our wheel is showing, and we can click on, just hold down C and grab in this greenish color, green blue, turn off Z, and we'll fill it to try and get a better color on these rings. That's better. Okay. So you're saying, guys, is that mesh now all one watertight piece, or is it still individual rings? It's still individual rings. It looks a lot better. I don't know if you guys can remember what it looked like. Our results from last week's episode were not nearly as nice as this. This is much cleaner, and it's going to print better. But yes, there are still holes in there. And what we can do is we can kind of get in there and inflate certain areas to fill those holes. I think if we were to print this right now, the resin thickness would just fill the holes in anyway, as far as like because they're just so small, I don't think it would matter too much. So, Lord Humongous, yes, I give you permission. Okay. So are you going to remove the chainmail under his breastplate? We'll see when it comes to posing time if, Because most likely what you want to do when you print a character is you want to fill all the gaps. You want to make it watertight. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I did add a brand new lesson to the additional resources section of the course. I haven't announced it, but I did put it there. I'll show you really fast. If you go to 3dcharacterworkshop.com and you log in to my library right here, and you go to additional training and resources, right here, you'll see this new one called Troubleshooting Your Model for 3D Printing. And this is essentially a version of one of the Q&A sessions that I talk about Corinne's model, where she had holes inside her model. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so can you see these holes right here? So if I were to leave the chainmail and his body and all that inside the armor, I would have these really big gaping holes inside there that they would be pockets that would hold the resin. So after he's posed, you don't want to do it in his T-pose because it might mess with the posing of him, but I want to 3D print him out. So after I get him posed, I'm going to come back in with filler material, which is just another fancy way of saying more geometry, and just stick it in there. At Disney Interactive, we called it bubble gum, like chewing up bubble gum and shoving it into the cracks. You know, that's kind of like that, where I'm going to go through and I'll do this kind of this clipping plane, and we'll make sure that we don't have these open holes, these open compartments. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's see. Couldn't find that video when you talked about it. Would you mind reminding me how to lighten up the shadows when they're making too dark to see what we're sculpting? Yes, that's super simple. It's just in the drop-down menu now. So it used to be on the left-hand side in 2018. Now it's in the pop-up menu in 2019 at the very, very bottom, this object shadow right here. So just crank that all the way to the left and the shadows will go away. Or you can crank it a little bit to the left and they'll just be lighter. Okay, so that's where it was. Cheese glaver? What are you talking about? Did I miss something? Okay. Cheese glaver. Okay, so now that we have him this far, I wanted to... yeah, most of those come from me, just so you know. Just because I forget the words. I can't wait for this anatomy thing to happen, because it's going to be all about hand meat and, you know, bubble gum and all that kind of stuff. Because that's the way I think about things. I don't think about things like a doctor thinks about things. I think about things like an artist thinks about things, or an unorganized artist like me that can just make up names. And I just know what I see, and I want to share what I see with you guys and give you kind of things to remember them by, right? So let's see. Yes, Shaswada, but that's going to be, I want to do that and take you all the way through. I'm probably going to do his textures in Substance Painter, so you guys can see that and watch me struggle through that. But one thing with that is I'm following the course outline. So at this point, when I get him all done in the T-pose, that's when you pose him to figure out if I've missed any proportions or anything like that. Some companies don't want you to do that. They don't have time for it. They just want you to go right into production, right into game character production. So this would be the handoff. Essentially, you do the textures and everything in this T-pose state, and you'd hand it off. You'd make the game character and hand it off to the next person. So, but in my opinion, it really, really helps if you can take the time to pose him. And because you're going to find out a lot about the character once he comes to life after you pose him. So I'm going to finish up all the little details, hopefully, in the next episode or two, and then we'll pose him, and then we'll take everything we learned in the pose and bring it back into the T-pose, and then retopologize him, and then do the game character version. So, okay, you guys, yep, and pizza boxes, that comes from Paul Gabry, so I can't claim that one. That's a good one, though. Okay, so for now, since Live Boolean is slowing us down so much, I want to make his chest plate into an actual mesh, And the way I want to do that is I want to utilize these folders and just isolate that breastplate. So it's, let's see, torso armor is what I called it. So essentially I want to just isolate it like that. That's just holding down shift and hiding everything. That will hide all the folders. And it also hides everything in here. The reason we can still see the chainmail is because that is the subtool I have selected. That's why we can still see it. So we are going to, we're going to do the live boolean just for this folder. Okay, so that's what's really cool about this folder. See, I can click on just an eyeball inside this folder and it's going to show me just everything inside that folder, which is what I want. It's right here. Okay, so now I want to make this a real mesh. And what I can do now with these folders with 2019, ZBrush 2019, is I can click on this gear and go down to Boolean with DSDiv. That means dynamic subdivisions. Okay, so is that a question, Ariel? So I'm just, if you watch this, I'm just going to apply the live booleans to this one object. Okay, you can see that my live boolean button is turned on. If I turn it off, this is what it looks like. I don't know why that's still showing. Hold on. Oh, because I'm still selected on that. Okay, let me select this. There we go. So if we look at this, these are all the pieces and parts that are making up this breastplate thing, right? So if I turn live boolean on, you can see that everything is being subtracted out of that piece. So for example, if I grab, like, say this, no, not that. So is the question, are you trying to ask, is now the time to turn off live boolean and make it a real mesh? The only reason I'm deciding to do this right now is because having live boolean turned on is slowing my computer down, and I don't want it to be slowed down. And I have all the parts in place as far as this breastplate is concerned, so I feel like I'm ready to take the next step and make this a real mesh, if that makes sense. Okay, and if you have your wireframe showing, and you select this these parts that are actually subtracting out of the breastplate, you can see that, right? Then it's going to show you what those parts look like. So if you don't have that on, it's just going to show you kind of the holes. And I'm actually setting up this breastplate to take advantage of, you know, not having to push everything in there, and I'm actually filling in the interior already. So you can see that this is not a hollowed, empty thing, right? It has filler inside because I'm only subtracting out the pieces that I need to. I should probably maybe not make this one go in as far. So let's edit that first. I'm going to turn this on and let's mask this out. No, the chainmail's not slowing it down that much. You'd be surprised. It's slowing it down a little bit, but live booleans really slow it down a lot because it's live boolean. It's showing you the subtraction live, so it takes a lot of CPU power to do that. Where the chainmail is just geometry, and ZBrush can display millions and millions of polygons. The chainmail is not subdivided. It's not even dynamically subdivided. It's just raw polygons, so it's not slowing it down hardly at all. It slows down a little bit when I turn on wireframe because there's so many wireframes, but it's really not slowing it down too much. So, hey, what's up, Angry? Okay, can I smooth an object without smoothing out your polypaint at the same time? The answer to that, unfortunately, is no, because polypaint is vertex coloring, and you know, polypaint is, you're coloring each point on the surface of your model. So if you add more points, it's going to try and distribute the color between all the new points that you have, if that makes sense. So what I would do is just do your painting at a higher subdivision level, if that makes sense. And then you'll get crisper lines if that's what you're after. Okay, so let me really quickly just adjust this here. So I'm adjusting. Can you guys see this piece? I'm just wanting to turn it inside here so it doesn't go so deep. Let's see if I can just move the gizmo on the surface of this. Pull it out and down. I just want to get a better, kind of a better result inside here. Oh, come on. So this is a quick tip for you guys. Can you see this little orange dot? See the little orange dot right in the middle there? This orange dot? If you hover over that orange dot, that's essentially showing you the symmetry of the other side. So if you hover over it, the gizmo is going to pop over there. I'm not even touching it, I'm just hovering over there. So if you have your camera angle set to where those two orange dots are very close together, it's going to drive you crazy because it's going to hop back and forth. So you do the poly paint over the live boolean before it's committed. Only solid colors, not any. Don't do any lines or not even gradients really. I kind of stay away from gradients with live boolean. You don't want to do any high resolution detail. You'll notice I haven't put in the surface, this surface detail, this yellow bit. I haven't put that in yet because I'm waiting until I'm done with this live boolean stuff, if that makes sense. So I'm essentially trying to build out this piece that has all these subtracted parts out of it, and then after that, I'll come back in and do more of the details. Anyway, I'm trying to squeeze this together, and I want to go grab this part with the move brush and just kind of push it out. There we go. Does that answer your question, by the way? Hey, what's up, Michael? I know live boolean can be a strange beast. It's super duper powerful, and honestly, and you probably don't want to hear this answer, but when you ask questions like when should I do this, when should I do that, the answer is when it feels right, when you feel like you're to that level, and it's essentially you save all of your detailed stuff till the very, very end. So like lines on the surface, texture detail, anything that's detailed, all your tertiary stuff, save it till the very end because you're going to be doing this kind of thing until the end, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I said, I'm not putting the detail stuff. I'm not putting these nicks in here. See all these nicks? I'm not putting those in there. I'm not putting this surface detail on yet. Any of this surface weathering, none of that stuff. I'm just trying to get the base shape, okay? But this is going to give me the bubblegum thing that I'm looking for. When I say bubblegum, I'm talking about the filler, right? Doing it this way is giving me the filler. I could hollow this whole thing out. That's probably how I would have built it in Maya back in the day, is actually build it all hollow and how it actually is. But since I'm going to be 3D printing this thing and baking the maps to the low resolution version when I do, it's much easier to bake maps if it's not full of hollow holes everywhere. If you guys have baked maps before, you might understand what I'm talking about, but it's much easier if you have a watertight mesh to both print and to bake. So that's kind of your goal there. Yeah, just like that cape, for sure. If you have a single-sided cloth with wrinkles, do you still Q-mesh at the end with the wrinkles on? So with the large wrinkles, yes, I do. The very large ones, you can put in the very large wrinkles with a low resolution mesh. You just need to have your mesh low enough to be smooth, but high enough to be able to accept the bigger wrinkles, right? Not little teeny tiny ones. I'm talking about the big ones that are making it flow. Okay, so yes, you can do that with just a single layer or just a single plane. You know, you can carve your wrinkles in, and then when you add thickness to that cape, those wrinkles are also going to be on the underside, right? So if you were to make just your flowing cape and then you made the thickness of it and then you put the wrinkles on the top, it's going to make the wrinkles underneath look like garbage, if that makes sense. So yeah, you just kind of do it that way. I've only baked cakes. Yeah, baking can be fun, but it can be frustrating at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna save this before anytime I do something big, like anytime I'm gonna make a new. Here, I'm gonna name this 17. 17. Anytime you do something large, I suggest you save it. So before you do the big thing. So, like for example, I'm gonna do a live boolean and make it a real mesh, make it a combined mesh right now, and that's kind of a big deal. And so I want to save it before I do it. I did put the wrinkles on the top, but I tried to keep it on a single-sided poly like you suggested, so you want to check things. Yep, you're doing good. Hey, what's up, Peter? How's it going? You're a cake eater? What movie was that on, Cake Eater? All right. And I want to grab this piece on the bottom that's cutting this out. No, let's see, where is it? That's the top piece. That's that piece. Oh, it's part of this. Okay, so see that yellow? I just want to push that yellow up into the body a bit more like this. Okay, but I don't want it to get so thin up front, so I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. There we go. So that's better. Let's inspect it. Oh, look at that. It made a little floaty bit right there. So I pushed that yellow too far up into there. So I'm going to need to scale it back down. So I'm going to move the gizmo up inside the body and scale it back down to cover that bit. The Mighty Ducks. There it is. Can't believe I remember that. Well, you remember that it was from the Mighty Ducks, but I could remember that it was from something. Okay. And clear that mask out. All right, here we go. Now what we can do, since we have folders, it used to be that you would have to hide everything that you didn't want to be computed into the live Boolean action. But now you can do it within a folder. So I want everything that I have contained within this torso armor folder to be calculated into the new live Boolean action that I'm about to do. Okay, so if I go to this gear and click on Boolean with ds_div, that just means it's going to take the subdivisions that I have turned on, the dynamic subdivisions, into account when I do the live Boolean action. That's all that means. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have a low resolution mesh. You're going to be like, why does it look like crap? And that's why. So make sure if you have dynamic on that you choose that ds_div button. Okay, so it's going to make it and it's going to pop it out right underneath that folder. So let's take a look. And here are our results, which it looks pretty dang good. I didn't know there was an animated Mighty Ducks TV show. That's crazy. Okay, so it looks like it did a really good job here. It uses that stitching algorithm that we use when we do the remesh by union. Okay, so it does look like it didn't do the job symmetrically. I don't know why it didn't do it symmetrically. I don't know if symmetry was turned off to begin with, but that doesn't matter because all we have to do is hit mirror and weld, and now we have it symmetrical. And I want to try and z-remesh this thing. Okay, so what we can do is, I'm going to hide Sirloin's concept for a moment, and I want to duplicate this. And the reason I want to duplicate it, because if I want to go back, it's still there, okay? And now I want to solo it. So this is all we're looking at. And then we're going to try this new Z-Remesher 3.0 and see what it gives us, okay? It should be pretty good. My prediction is it's going to turn out great, but I don't want to hold, I'm going to hold my breath. I'm not going to hold my breath. Whatever you say there. Okay. So Z-Remesher, I want to try some stuff like detect edges. I don't know if I want to keep groups. We can try it, but because all the groups I want to keep are not actually grouped. So for example, I would like to make this interior its own group, which I can do. I can go through and make these groups, but I just want to try it, just to see what I'm going to get just out of the box because I'd want to make this top thing its own group. And yeah, if I want to keep groups, I'd have to do some more work to it. Okay, so let's just try it without it. Detect edges, adaptive, and I'm not going to use poly paint, and we can just try it. Z-remesh that boy. Okay, I need to turn symmetry on, and I'm going to give us a little more juice. Let's go up to 8,000 so we have more to work with. Okay, yeah, it's working really well in some places and not as well in others. For typically, or for example, it's kind of busting this right here, but the rings around the shoulders are looking super nice. The rings around here, it's getting rid of that crease right there. So let's undo this, and I think I am going to go through and let's see what happens if I just hit groups by normals and see what it gives us. Okay, that's not bad. Except for it got rid of this seam right here. I want to keep this seam. So I'm going to hide the groups that it already has that I want to keep. Okay, I want to keep that one. I want to keep this one. I want those to be grouped by normal and those. Okay, what I'm looking at here, if you guys know what group by normals does, it will group everything beyond a 45 degree into a different polygroup. And you can see that the top of this collar is yellow and the side of this collar is yellow. And I could go through and manually like show and hide and put things into different groups, but that's going to take me a while. So I want to use an automated process called group by normals. And you can also see the same thing. The wall of the interior of this collar is green and the floor of it is green. And same goes with the interior of the shoulders, blue and blue. And underneath here, purple and purple, and teal. Okay, so hopefully this works with partially hidden mesh. So group by normals, there we go. And it did its magic, check that out. We now have a green on the border, pink on the inside, red. It's given us everything we wanted. I sound like a sports announcer. He's going down the court. Look at him go. So now we have all our groups. So what that means is we can turn on keep groups and turn off detect edges, hit Z-remesher again, and I bet we'll get a better result. Yes, we did, but we have a little bit of issues up in here still, but not bad. But see how much better it kept the rings? So let's go down in poly count. I want to go back down to 5. Okay. And I'm going to turn smooth groups down just a bit, maybe to like 75. Okay, so it's getting a little better. It still has some issues right here and some warbles right here. And it's not, I want to see what happens if I do hit detect edges, because I want it to keep this thing, but it's not working very well. You know what I can do is I can try and crease it. So let's go to Z Modeler and just put a crease on that thing. Crease edge. Well, it also has some weirdness going on. See how many edges it has right down in here? See that? And I can fix that if I snap my camera to the front. I'm going to grab move and turn off symmetry for a moment. Drag this bit over to the right-hand side. Then do a mirror and weld. Okay, it fixed some, what am I trying to say? Fixed some of them. Let's smooth these out. I'm just holding down smooth and kind of separating them a little bit. And now what I can do is go to the Z Modeler, hover over a point, hold down spacebar and hit stitch. 2 points, okay? So then I can go, see how it says stitch 2 points, click the first point, boom, click the second one, boom, and now it's gone. Click the first one, click the second one, now it's gone. So those are all stitched and cleaned up. Let's see. This is really bugging my eyes, this green right in my face. Okay, but now that those are stitched and cleaned up, what I can do, I'm going to turn symmetry back on, hold down spacebar, and crease down the center and across the top and back down the inside here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And hopefully by hitting crease, that will, and then you can hit keep creases right here. Detect, we're hitting all the things, but you don't want to hit freeze groups, okay? Don't hit freeze groups, because what that is going to do is that's going to keep all of the messy points all between the groups, okay? You don't want to freeze it. I could put a poly group all the way down the middle of it. It's not a bad idea. The only thing that is going to create is an actual an edge down the center, because between poly groups it likes to make an edge, so it will make an actual point. So yeah, keep creases is new to 2019, so that's a new thing. But don't do freeze border, don't do freeze groups, just do keep groups, which is good. Smooth groups, what that does is that's going to smooth, after it does the Z-remeshing algorithm, it's going to smooth the line between the groups a little bit after, and that's what's kind of happening with that collar. So that's why I turned it down a little bit. There we go. Look at that. Hallelujah. That's a beautiful thing. All right. Hey, what's up, Emma? Jeremy, you totally could. You completely could crease all the edges. In fact, what I could do is I could say, well, I kind of wonder though if it's going to, let's just try it. Let's just try it. I just wonder if it's going to try and keep the polygon count in between those, or if it's just going to keep the creases. So what I can do now that I have everything in poly groups, I know what I want to crease. I can just do a, well, it's going to save it first. I can do a crease by poly groups. That's crease PG. Click on that. And now that just threw a crease on between every single poly group. So I can now hit Z-remesher and it's going to keep those. Let's see if it, oh, it did a pretty good job. Yeah, it kept all those it kept all the creases. I think I said keeped. Keep the creases. So what's cool about this now is it's a little high resolution, a little higher than I'd like. So, and some of these are kind of warbly, right? And these are warbly through here. Hey, what's up, Marcus? What I can do is now I can hit half, okay? Half, and do it again. And essentially that's going to cut everything in half and it's going to clean it up. See that? That's something I learned from Joseph Drust. Really, really cool technique. So, I mean, it still has quite a few in here. It looks like it's having issues down in here because there's like a weird rogue group in there. So yes, it did get rid of the warbles on the bottom. See that? They went away. So if you, and I always love saying this because it's like a Dr. Seuss book, if you Z-remesh a Z-remeshed mesh, then it will, and you hit half and you do it in half, then most of the time it's going to clean up those edges or the warbled edges. Okay. But I'm not liking what's going on in here, so we are going to... Everybody loves your battle mech, Marcus. So Marcus, can you tell us if that was the Z-modeler brush, or did you model it outside of ZBrush and bring it in, or how did you make that? Sorry to put you on the spot there, but I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to mask this piece out right here, and I know it's probably going to mask something on the back right there. Yep. So I got to clear that mask. Okay, clearing it. Now see this, it's masked in the center. We're going to clean this up just like we cleaned up the front. Okay, so I'm going to invert this and then hold down Alt and click anywhere here just to bring the gizmo into place like this. And now I'm going to slide it over to the right with symmetry turned off. So I got to turn symmetry off, slide this whole line and everything just to the right, and then clear my mask, and then do mirror and weld, and that should clean it right up. Yep. But it's creased right there, so I can get rid of that crease by doing the Z-modeler brush, crease edge. I'm going to hold down Alt and just manually uncrease this line. Because if I do crease edge, it's going to go all the way up that edge. I don't want to do that. Just your primitives in Z-modeler? And much topology drawing. Wow. That sounds not so fun. But it turned out great. It's looking awesome. Looking really nice. Okay, so now we have, that's how you clean that up. Do you see that? It's all cleaned up in there now. So if you ever have double lines or whatever that's, you know, going down the center because of mirroring and all that business, just grab the culprits and slide them to the right. And then Mirror and Weld will mirror from left to right and get rid of that stuff. So, and oh, and a lot of Booleans. You can do so much stuff with live Booleans. Speaking of which, I can now turn live Boolean off, which is going to speed up my machine. It's not really being slowed down right now because a lot of stuff is hidden. But okay, so now that I have this, now I can just do the Z-remesh, a Z-remeshed mesh. There we go. Check it out. This is looking pretty good. Now, the new Z-remesher 3.0 was actually built to handle geometry like this. So it's meant to remesh hard surface things with good results, and that's where it's really shining, right? And so that's why when you're doing a face, it's good to use keep groups around your face, right? Around your like the eye mask and all those parts and around your mouth. And Z-remesher shines now when you use groups and you use keep groups, and it just gives you a more predictable result, which is cool. Okay, so now we can turn on dynamic subdivisions again. Just always say yes. And here is our part, and look how clean and smooth and beautiful that is, right? And it's all welded together, and it's all crispy and clean. Yeah, it's good, and it's filled, so there's no hollowness. There's not going to be a hollow area or problems when we go to print this guy. So now we can, yay, 63 people. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, and thank you all for watching this live. I really appreciate it, and I'm trying to get the viewership up and up. That's why I put out a poll to see when the best time for everybody to watch this is. And I think it's I mean, you guys tell me, but I think it's a really big addition to the workshop. I haven't always done live streams like this. I've only been doing them for the last few months, and I think you guys are enjoying them. So it helps me keep content flowing to you guys. It's really cool. Okay. So now we can look at what it used to look like and what it looks like now. There's the two differences right here. So this is the after. Let's see. I selected the wrong thing. This was before. So this is after the stitching. And then this is after the Z-remeshing. Pretty good. Okay, so now that we have that, we can delete this stitched part because we don't need it anymore. And if we wanted to, we could actually delete this folder, right? It's great, just don't stop the recordings. It's faster to take in and remember. Like, what do you mean the recordings? All right, Sheswada. Yep. You're welcome, you guys. These streams are so valuable and amazing. I really think it's a huge plus to the course. Rarely get to join in on the live sessions, but yeah, they're super useful. I might do a few at a different time during the day. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what works best. But now I know that these times work great for you guys, but it's right in the middle of my day, so I have to kind of stop what I'm doing, do a live stream, and then go back to what I was doing. This happens right after my lunch, which is actually a really good time, but I live stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays right at lunchtime, essentially. So all three of those days are kind of, if I need to go out and do anything, it's kind of gets in the way a little bit. So I might push some to the morning some days and night times other days. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. And I think I will catch more people if I do that, so it'll hit more time zones and things like that, because there are students in here all around the world. I can't believe it. All around the world. I love it. I love it. So, okay. You guys are absolutely welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, and you know, the reason I love this format so much is because there's just so much information to share with you guys, you know, just so much. And Donna, I appreciate you doing those timestamps. I really do. I think they help immensely. So Donna's volunteered to do some timestamps for these live stream videos, at least these sirloin ones. So you guys can go back and go, where was that? Where did he talk about that thing? So yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, and no rush, Donna. You know, take your time. Just I just really, really appreciate you doing them. So thank you so much. Anyway, it just helps me get the information out there without curating a ton of lessons. You know what I'm saying? Like I did before, because then I can just get the information out to you guys without you waiting. It's just there. So there you go. Okay. So let's see what this looks like with everything else showing. There we go. And now we can get rid of all the pieces and parts. I can get rid of this torso armor folder, or at least everything in here. So I'm just going to start from here and just delete this stuff, because I know that I saved this in a past version, a past tool. So I can delete these with knowing that I'm not going to destroy anything. So delete, because I want to keep the folder. And now I can put this, well, I guess the folder went away, but okay, I'm going to put it in a new folder. Control F is how you make a new folder. And let's call this, I'll just call it chest plate. Sure, chest plate. Okay, now there's just one thing in there. Okay, and I'm going to grab the color off of here. Now we have our color, and his sword is back between his legs. Don't say anything. Keep it rated G. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, let's see. This color, fill it. Here, let's hide the sword. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to fill this. We're going to do some gradients to the chest plate now, just like we did gradients to the stuff down here. Fill this object with paint and the shoulders with paint, and now I can go back here and grab this kind of darker bluish green color, grab the airbrush, and like I said, this poly paint can be put on low resolution meshes as long as it's a gradient, okay, or a single color. If it's a single color or a gradient, bam, works out great. But anything beyond that, any tertiary details, save it till the end. Save it until you actually want to apply real subdivision levels. I can't say that enough. Just be patient and wait until the end to do that stuff. Okay. But for now, we can put a gradient on here. I got to turn off spotlight projection. Gets you every time. There we go. See how much I'm always surprised how much better it looks when you put gradients on stuff. So I'm just barely putting a gradient on here, and it's kind of like faking ambient occlusion. So that is one way to just really make your stuff look nice without trying too hard, is just putting some gradients. We'll do the same thing to these shoulders. We're just going to put, come on, grab the shoulders. There we go. That's what he looks like without his breastplate, chest plate on. Okay. We'll just go around the bottom of this. What kind of name is that? Latino Negro. That's funny. It's going well. Any tips on how to avoid the spikes of death when projecting? Everything seems to look like exploding glass. That means that you have there's something that happened to that mesh that broke the mesh when you were projecting. So, and it happens a lot on certain meshes, but the best thing you can do is essentially rebuild the underlying mesh, like by doing Z-remesher or retopologizing it or something like that. Because if you get that spiky shard glass looking thing, that just means something happened to the mesh that you're trying to project to, and it's kind of an undoable thing. Sometimes what you can do, you can try this. Sometimes you can export that mesh before you do any projection to it. You can take that mesh, export it out of ZBrush as an OBJ, and bring it into like Maya or something like that, and just open it up in Maya or 3D Studio Max, Blender, whatever you have, and then just save it back out of there as an OBJ. And that's kind of like a cleansing process. It will kind of clean up any, you know, whatever is going on with it, and then import that OBJ back into ZBrush, and then try and project to that, if that makes sense. That's a way that I've been able to clean it up and get away from that that error. But yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so here we are with this, and I'm not going to do the surface detail yet, even though I really want to. I want to really bad. I want to put the surface detail. I want to put this yellow stuff on here. I want to put the nicks in there. I want to do all that stuff, but I'm not. I still have other things to do before I do that stuff. I might put these little details, these little circles, but I'm not going to put the leather details on there yet. We're not quite there. We'll get there. Okay. Because for now, what I want to do is I want to give him some hair. Let's give him some hair. He totally is like Kay from Sword in the Stone. That's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. I love, love, love Sword in the Stone. Okay, now that we're done with this, we can save it. So let's do a save as. I'm going to save it as 18 because we made some big changes between 17 and 18. But yes, hair. He only has a little tuft of hair sticking out the top, but I wanted to give you guys kind of a short hair lesson. It's happening to the ZRemeshed meshes. Could you, that's weird. So did you subdivide it before you projected, or maybe you can send me the Z tool and I'll take a look. But it might be something you have to send to Pixelogic because they can help you do it as well. Yeah, because we call it the shards. When it shards, it just looks like it turns into shards. It's like glass, but a short hair lesson or a short hair lesson? The latter. Okay. Yes, Sheswada, I'm hoping I can get this. Well, that's the goal of this, is getting this guy into I want to make him a game character that can be animated and rigged. And the reason why is because I have a buddy of mine. His name is Mike Walling. He is a fantastic animator, and he is making a course on animation. And he was with me at the Kajabi Summit, and I'm helping him put together his course. And he's hoping to use some characters that I've built in his course. So hopefully that's going to happen. I don't know when, but it'll be cool if it does. So anyway, he's worked on. Yeah, he's worked at DreamWorks and Sony. He worked with me at Disney Interactive, and he's a really cool guy. So, okay, let's get this hair. And I'm going to use, I really, really love the Macon hairbrush. So why is it, oh, he's going to use, I'm sure he'll use Maya. I'm pretty sure he'll use Maya. Oh, he was your mentor at iAnimate, Small World. Right on. So, okay. Yeah, he currently teaches over at iAnimate. That's cool. And if you know Angie Jones, she's over there as well. I've known Angie Jones forever and ever and ever. She's one of the flag waving female animators of all time. Like she's one of the best female animators, and she's over there. Anyway, cool stuff. Yep, he's a fantastic teacher, and he puts his time into really helping the students out, and yeah, so I'm happy to help him. Okay, one thing that I want to do before I move on is I just want to put some gradients on this on the chainmail. So right now it's this just filled with this green color, and I want to see what happens if we just paint on some highlights Oh, come on. Now that you have a genuine copy. Yeah, I'm just going to put some highlights on here. Yeah, it's nice that they added subscriptions to ZBrush. It makes it much more affordable for everyone. So I'm just kind of making it look like metal, you know, just kind of painting in some metal just to add some gradient tones to it. So it's not just all one color. So, oh, when projecting, I inflate my retopoed mesh to line up with the mesh I'm projecting to. After the projections, I smooth out any discrepancies. I do that for each subdivision level. Yeah, it depends. That's a really great point, Allison, because it depends on how bad it's, this is a horrible word, but how bad it's sharding, like sharding, not shart. So shard, how bad the shards are, or how bad it's getting disrupted. So if it's just a little bit, like in between fingers or something like that, what you can do is, yeah, you can do, there's Maya LT that's free. Anyway, what you can do is before you project, what you can do is save a morph target at the highest subdivision level. Okay. Then I would roll back to level 1, do a projection there, then go up to level 2, project there, 3, project there, all the way up to like whatever is your highest level, probably like 5 or 6. And then if you have like some sharding happening in between the fingers, that's where it usually happens, because what is going on is the envelopes, because it works kind of like baking maps, but the envelopes are overlapping each other. And so it would be projecting one finger onto the other finger and that finger onto that finger. And so it's crisscrossing and making it shard in there, right? So you want to go in there and you can smooth out, go in between down each subdivision level and smooth each subdivision level out between the fingers. And then you can also, on the very top level, is use the morph brush. There's a morph brush, and you can paint the morph brush in between those fingers, and that will roll the issues all the way back to what it looked like before you projected. Also, projecting respects masking. So if there's an area that's just getting caught up in the envelope and making shards, what you can do is just mask that area out before you project, if that makes sense. But if it's just going nuts and the whole thing is just exploding, that's a broken mesh. Yeah. Okay. Oh, is that true, Corinne? That's the only difference, is a box that pops open. That's interesting. That's good to know. Jeremy, you almost made me spit out my water. Oh, man. Okay. So I hope that answered your question about the shard situation. Okay. Let's make some hair. Let's get off the shard subject and make some hair. Oh, man. Okay. So here's our mesh. Now, just to remind you, this mesh is a stretched out base mesh. And I need to show you guys something. If you didn't catch it when I posted it inside of the community, but my friend Sergi Kabaler has posted his base mesh, his amazing base mesh, up on Gumroad for free. So, Sergi Kabaler, Gumroad. So, Sergi is the guy that I point you guys to learn good topology. He also rigs like a madman. Like he builds rigs like crazy. If I were to get somebody to do a rigging course, if I could, it would be Sergi. So, he looks like this. This is him. He works at Disney Feature, and it looks like he made a character that looks a lot like the one I'm making right now. This is one of his characters right here. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, he makes lots and lots of characters, but A long time ago, he made this base mesh of this female. That's a really small thumbnail. But he made this female base mesh, and he just barely released it to the world on Gumroad. So let me find it for you guys. Where's Gumroad? Right here. Okay, so this right here, this time-lapse series, download this model, $0. I would suggest you go get that, because the topology on this face, even though it is meant for feature film animation, the topology is so good it also works for game animation. It's a little high, but it's kind of like, it's like next gen density on the level of topology. So I would take a look at that. And this is what I use to teach you guys in the workshop as far as topology. This is kind of how I based Kate's topology off of. So this is a really, really good resource, good reference. Because you guys were asking about base meshes and where to go get a good one, and yeah. Okay. Looks like a stylized Thanos without the hood, for sure. Okay, so this is my, well, sirloin's head without the thing. Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, I always show my age, Jeremy. I need, you know what? I need to talk to Sergi to see what he's up to. I gotta find out, because he needs to do it right, in my opinion. I hope he doesn't release like really cheap, small Gumroad tutorials that, you know, I just can't stand people that put all this time and effort into a Gumroad thing and not charge very much for it, and then not support it, and then just kind of let it go, and then all these people are just kind of left flailing, you know, like what I have these questions and all that. Yeah, I love the format that I've found for this workshop, and it works really well for me, and I believe for you guys. You can kind of see it in the models that are coming out of this workshop, and I love it. So I kind of wanted to pass what this workshop is onto people and say, hey, you should maybe think about doing it like this, because it's working out great. Anyway, and that's what Mike Walling is doing, hopefully. So, okay, let's get this hair on his head. Okay, so let's talk about the Macon hairbrush and where it came from. So it came originally from Benjamin Hale. So Benjamin Hale is not that guy. Where is Benjamin Hale? Oh, this one. There's too many Benjamin Hales. Jeez. Okay, well, Macon, maybe? No. Gosh dang it. Okay, well. Anyway, where you can find it is you find it at Funky Bunnies. And I've talked about this on my Pixelogic live streams, but Funky Bunnies is ran by Chris Whitaker. Chris Whitaker, he's another 3D character artist, and he does just some phenomenal work. And so does Benjamin. Benjamin Hale does just fantastic work. I'm hoping to get both of them on for interviews someday. But this is some of Chris's work. And if you go to Funky Bunnies, here I'll put it in the chat over here. Okay, if you go to Funky Bunnies, oh, you found some on Pluralsight? Yeah, those are old. Those are old. Okay, and then you go up here to Tools. Then you go down here to ZBrush Stuff, ZBrushes. I need to ask them if I can just include it in the workshop. I'm sure they would let me. But there's this curly brush and this Macon hair curves brush, and you can see this is made by Ben Macon Hale. Macon is his nickname, and then so Chris Whitaker has tweaked it, and then Benjamin is the one who made it originally. And also, while you're here, I suggest you grab this really awesome eyelashes insert multi-mesh brush, and you can grab this square tubes brush. This button one is pretty cool. All of these are great. You can grab them all if you want. So Shaswata, he's just barely starting, so I have no idea. He's just getting started, so probably a while if I were to guess. So, oh, thanks for that rigging link, Scott. I have not seen that one. Is the lag crazy? Yeah, I think the lag is like 20 seconds. It's like, yeah, it's not the best on YouTube. Sorry about that. Like answer 20 seconds later. Okay, so let's grab, I have it installed right here. See, I have square tubes, eyelashes, the curly one, the button one, and then where's his hairbrush? There it is, right there, Macon hairbrush, okay? And this is one of my favorite brushes. I just barely used it on a freelance job that I did, and they loved it. It worked out really well. And the reason it works out well is because it works well for both baking maps, again, and 3D printing, again. So I also recommend Dylan Eckrins hairbrush. It works really well. I talked about it in the workshop. Now, the difference is Benjamin Hale's brush and Chris Whitaker's addition to it, it works better for laying in hair quickly and making it look chunky and interesting and flowy. It's more like soft serve ice cream look, if that's kind of the look you're going for. I really like that just... it just appeals to me, that the soft serve ice cream look. I don't know why. I just really like it because you can lay it down and then you go back and edit it to add the thicks and thins and that kind of thing. And it's just really quick to edit. But there's something to be said about using like Dylan Eckrins brush or Danny Mac's hairbrush, or I think Vincent has one. Anyway, those are all very similar, and those are just strands of hair kind of bundled together like a wire, like a bundle of wires all together. There's usually a thick chunk in the middle surrounded by a whole bunch of thin ones. And what you do with that is you can lay it down and then you pull it apart, all the little strands apart. But it's not good for baking maps, and it's not good for what? 3D printing, right? Because it's going to make all this air in between all the hairs, right? So it works really well for rendering, but it doesn't work well for game characters and printing. Okay, so there's my spiel on those on the hair. Okay. Oh, he does look funny from the top. You have a hard time drawing it out sometimes. Sometimes it will, like specifically on low resolution surfaces, because honestly, if I turn off subdivision surfaces, I'm drawing it on these big polygons, and again, it's trying to pay attention to the points in space, not the polygons themselves. It's not looking at the surface, it's looking at the points that make up the surface. So the more points you have on the surface, the better chance it's going to have to lay down nicely on the surface. So you could take a head like this and actually add subdivision levels to it to add more geometry, to give you more points to draw on. I'm talking really fast today, and I don't know why. I haven't had coffee at all or anything. I feel like I'm talking like Michael Pavlovich. But anyway, yeah, that's good. Can't unsee Elfie. Oh, funny. Okay, so anyway, as you can see, across the top, or if you push M, okay, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can push M and it will pull up and insert multi-mesh, the catalog of things that are in that multi-mesh, okay? So you can put these in here and you can go through each one and you can see what that hair strand is going to look like when you drag it out, okay? This wide cover is probably one of my favorite ones. And you can also grab them from up here after you select the brush. So, and then you just drag it. But this is what it's gonna look like, crap, right? Why is it looking like crap? Well, you have to go in there and you have to adjust the curve fall off. And I don't know why. I wonder if I can set, every time I do something like this, I'm always like, I wonder if I can set up the defaults for this inside the project, the startup project that I've made with the ruler and the sphere. There's a lot of little tweaks underneath, behind the scenes, that you don't realize that have been tweaked that are inside that project file, because project files save everything. So if it does save, I'm going to go back and save it in there. But anyway, so what I want to do is I want to undo that and go into stroke. Underneath stroke, you can go to curve functions, curve modifiers. So you can go into curve modifiers and you can see this curve fall off. You tap on that and it'll open up this big square. And this is what it's doing. That is why it's pinched at one end and it's big at the other end. Well, with this Macon hairbrush, what you want to do is pull this up so it's even all the way across. Now when you draw it, it's going to be, well, it's going to be even all the way down. This is perfect. It's like dog ears. But you can see that the hairbrush is just even all the way down. So it starts thick and ends thick. But what you can do is, Angelo, all you need to do is put them in the same folder that you put my brushes. So every single brush you download, all you need to do is put it into, let's see, it's Pixelogic, and then the ZBrush, the current ZBrush version, and then you go into, gosh, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look. Hold on a second. So you go to C, not D. My C is almost full. Okay, and then you go to Program Files, not Program Files, x86. Program Files, Pixelogic, ZBrush 2019, then Z Startup, and then Brush Presets. You put it right there, okay? So this, all my brushes are in here. And that's where you put the Macon hairbrush. Okay, Aaron Blaze is one of my favorite people on the planet. He's amazing. Yep, I see him every year at CTN. He's a super cool guy. And very generous with his knowledge as well. I love that guy. Okay, and this is what Corinne is talking about with the hair having a hard time sticking to the surface. Sometimes you want to draw it up instead of down. So you can play with that stroke fall off because I can pull this side down a little bit. And when I draw it, well, if you could actually see it. I'm gonna hide that. Gosh, why isn't it? Okay. So see how it's slightly tapering as it goes? That's because of that fall off. That's where you get that fall off from. That taper is, and if it doesn't work the first time, just undo it, draw it again, undo it, draw it again until you can get it there, okay? And also, if you accidentally draw it into the head like this, that's not the end. You can grab these ends. See this red circle up here and this little white circle down here? You can drag these and snake them around in space like this. Whee! It's fun. So you can kind of get him into place like that. I don't know why his head is disappearing. It shouldn't disappear. Sometimes it does, sometimes not. But you can get them, and it will adjust based on the camera plane as you drag it around too. But anyway, you can drag it into place if you don't get it right at the right spot the first time you draw it. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, I did tell Aaron. So you guys, I worked with Jason Newkirk at a company up in Seattle, and I worked on a Brother Bear game with him. And I did tell, and when I told Aaron that I worked on a Brother Bear game, his eyes lit up. He's like, "Well, you did? No way!" So yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so I don't want symmetry on because this is kind of just a tuft of hair that is just kind of sticking out of his coif. I like to say coif. Okay. So we're just going to kind of, and like I said, it's based on the camera rotation. So rotate your camera and then drag it into place like that. So, and you can just straighten it out. You have to drag it away from the dot. You can't, if you drag it towards it, it's going to get crinkly and chunky. So you don't want to do that either. Okay, and I usually do asymmetry when I'm doing hair, because hair is so asymmetrical. Sometimes I'll do symmetry on both sides of the head over here, where it's not so close to the center. You don't want to do symmetry down the center or down the back, and then or down each side of the face or across the front. But back in this area right here, it's okay because you're not going to see it. But most of the time, you'll want to be asymmetrical. Oh, stuff disappear. Oh, it's dynamic. No, it's not dynamic. That's weird. When it's... Oh, you're right. Yep. Look at this little creepy thing creeping out. Let me see the... Okay. We have kind of this chunk of hair coming out. And you can adjust down the line, but always drag it out to smooth it. Otherwise, it's going to remain kind of chunky. Okay. I want it to stick clear out like this. And not be in as... Okay. Anyway, I'm just trying to get this main piece out here, and then I'll fix it after that. I just want it, just the main piece that's in the concept I want to get right, and then we'll figure out everything else, okay? So what? Oh, I know what you're talking about, Jeremy. So yeah. So that basically, how you do that, if you guys want to see, I'm undoing all of this. I did a bunch. Okay. Also, I recommend, if any of you guys are Blender users, if you use Blender at all and you want to do hair in Blender, go watch Danny Mac's video that's called Why I Switched to Blender for Hair. And it's basically, it's a loft. It's called a loft, the way you take a shape and you loft it along a line. It's like it's old technology. It's been around forever, but the way you set it up in Blender and the way you can build hair with it is really, really nice. And with ZBrush, the difference between the two, what I'm going to show you now, the difference between the two is when you're done editing a hair with the Gizmo bend, it's the Gizmo bend modifier is what it is. After you get done, you're committed and you can't go back and bend it anymore the way you were before. So you're kind of stuck. So anyway, I can show you really quick. You just essentially click and drag out like this. Oh, that's horrible. So you straighten it up. This is a super long strand. Let me do a short. It's all twisted and weird. There we go. Okay, so basically you want to pull out a strand like this straight out from the side of the head, and then click on the surface to commit it. And then I'm going to hit split unmask points to get it in its own subtool. Hit the down arrow to select that. We can even go into solo mode. So now we just have this kind of piece of hair. And basically what we can do is go into the gizmo right here and go into the gear and hit the, where is it? The bend curve modifier. Okay, it's going to give you this modifier like this. Okay, and you can see that it has two orange points, one at the tip and one at the end. And we can turn up the curve resolution by grabbing this orange cone and adding more dots down the center. And that just gives us essentially more resolution for bending. And then we can grab these and bend them around. Grab these points and kind of move them around like this. Okay, so the yeah, this isn't that awesome. The whole bending or the stylization of this brush is really nice because it kind of has all of the strands in one big strand. So it's kind of hard to break it, I guess. Anyway, you can see this. Now, if I liked the way this hair strand looked, I really liked it, and I wanted to commit it, you just go back to this gear and you say, all right, I'm done, accept. Okay, now I'm like, oh, you know what? I really don't like that. It's going this way and I want it to curve the other way. Well, this is what happens if I go back in here and I add another bend curve modifier. It's going to take that whole bounding box. And now you can see it's not going down the length of the hair anymore. It's been committed, so you can't go back and edit it. Whereas in Blender, with the loft curve, I'm going to sneeze, I think. Oh my goodness. Okay. In Blender, with the loft curve, it keeps the loft, it keeps the curve, and you can go back and edit it anytime until you actually decide to commit it for real. Like, when you're actually going to make a game character out of it or something like that. So if that makes sense. So that's one downfall of this method, but it is nice to be able to manipulate with the curve bend modifier. It's really fun to play with, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to set up that way. And you have to drag out your hair strands straight every time before you use it. If I had this hair strand, like I said, if I already had it in kind of a swooshy way, then when I put this bounding box modifier over the top of it, it's not going to work very well because you need to have it straight so that bounding box bend modifier will align itself to the length of the thing. Okay? So now, James, dude, there is so many things inside of ZBrush that it's just, it's hard to keep up with it all. Okay, so where is this? Okay. All right, I'm just gonna delete this guy. Whoops. Delete. Okay, here we go. Let's do this for real. Okay, when thinking about, now that we've gone through all of that, when thinking about short hair, you have to think about the direction that it's going, where it's growing from, and where it's going to, right? So this guy, underneath his coif or whatever, I kind of picture it being a certain way, and then very short hair, and then it's kind of like longer on the top, and then it's longer out here, and just a part of it is just kind of getting pushed down by that coif and pushed out the front. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to make a real part or anything, but I'm going to make kind of a hair helmet to block everything in, and then I'm going to grow some hair out of that. So that's how I'm going to do it for now, and I have this head, so I'm going to use the insert multi-mesh, grab a sphere. So I'm not going to use the hairbrush yet. Ophi, I'd have to agree and disagree with you. I agree that there should be better topology tools inside of ZBrush, yes, but it's also missing good map baking and a good PBR resolution, or a good PBR solution, like Substance Painter or something like that. And of course, there's not rigging, animation, blah, 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 you know, it keeps going. So at its core, ZBrush is a digital sculpting application, and then I take the models out somewhere else if I need to do anything other than that, I guess. So, yeah, you're right. It does need a better topology solution for sure. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, split unmasked points, arrow down, but I do want to show the head. So let's where's, oh, this is it. Okay, so let's hide everything and then just show the head and the hair. There we go. Okay. And I just want to fill it with kind of a light gray color just so we can see what we're doing for now. It's not going to be brown for a minute. We have this little hair helmet. Now for this, I do turn on symmetry because I want it to be symmetrical. I just kind of block in the hair, what the hair shape would look like going down around here. I don't want it too far up on his head. And then the thing that a lot of people miss is how the hair goes around behind the ear and in front of the ear. So I see a lot of naked sideburns. It's even with females. You need, not that you need heavy female sideburns, but just a little bit of wispy hair coming down right there. Or on males, make sure you have some kind of sideburn coming down, or else it just looks strange. It's Clint. Hey, I want to tell you, I can't do a Clinton impersonation. I just got this sword. Good old female. Isn't that a song? Good old female mutton chops. Thanks. Thank you. I have to do this. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. All right. I gotta make his hair a different color. You guys are killing me. I'm gonna make it like that. There we go. Okay. Now we're getting our sphere is all being stretched like crazy. Hate it when that happens. You can see if I turn off dynamic, it's having problems. So let's subdivide it a couple times. Control D. So Control, not Shift, just Control D a couple times. And then we're gonna Z-remesh this. Before I do that, I do like to hollow out the underside of the hair like this, just to kind of push so the head kind of fits in there. I don't know why I do it, but I do it. Yeah, it's been nice, Bill. Come back, Bill. Did I say that out loud? Okay, so like that, and then we can Z-remesh it. So let's go down to Z-remesher. Just hit Z-remesh to see what it does. I'll probably make it way too dense. Yeah, way too dense. Okay. So let's go down to like a 1. Hit it again. There we go. Let's do half again. I just hit half. Z-remesh it again. Even lower. There we go. Green. Green machine. Yeah, that's an easy target though, Donna. Easy. It's ducks in a barrel. Okay. There we go. I'm just kind of smoothing this out. Okay, no matter how simple the hair, it's always best to block in a shape, to block in just some sort of shape, how it's going to be. I'm probably going to pull this back in space, something like this. And then it's always good to try and find straights as well. So I'm going to put a straight right there. Probably put a straight on the bottom of this. Like that. And then round. I can even make a corner right here. And then maybe semi-straight across the back. Not perfect, but just kind of sort of round. But I like to find corners and then just kind of stick it out like, you know, like that. There we go. Much better. That's something I can live with, I think. And then I can turn on dynamic subdivision. And you can see since I push this up, it's naturally trying to, it's naturally starting to put a crease right here. And I can go back in with the pinch brush if I want to and take that even further and just kind of make an edge that goes all the way down here like this. And across the front maybe. Just to pull it up. And you can continue to do one around the back, maybe around the ear, like this. Go. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just messing around, trying to find edges, whatever. Okay, something like that. Now that I have this, I can smooth it out a little bit after it saves it. Just get rid of the edges just a little bit. I always like to bring the edges in and then push them back. Bring them in, push them back. Because you don't want to have it super crispy, just enough to be like, oh, there's an edge there. It's catching light, right? Okay, so now that I have this hair in place, I want to look for some different volume opportunities, I guess. It's like, hey, there's a stereo. There's a volume opportunity. No, that's horrible. That's a dad joke. Okay, so as it gets closer to the head, down by the ears, we want less volume, very close to the head. Okay, very close. Very close. We don't want it sticking out. We want it very short next to the neck because that's where it's mostly just kind of shaved. And then as it comes up, that's the volume is usually up in the top. So let's pull this up and out and back, and it's probably going to be sticking through the chainmail. And we're losing his forehead, so we can also bring it forward like that a little bit. Okay, now it's going to give us the opportunity to put those Mac-On hair brushes here. Okay. Oh, expressions are I love how expressions are natural when they're from your own culture, but seem so weird when they're not. Yep. Ducks in a barrel. So that expression comes from like, it's if there's like a barrel and there's like rubber ducks in there, or not rubber, but if there's ducks in, they're just sitting there, right? And so they're easy to shoot them. But if they're up in the air, then they're challenging to shoot, right? But if they're just sitting there, then it's, I don't know where the expression comes from. It's really silly. But yeah, some of them I don't even think about. I just kind of say them. Another one I was going to say, sit on your hands, is like hold your horses is another one. You guys heard about, you know, like, whoa, hold your horses. All right. Okay, and I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. So I kind of want to start from the back right here, and then make them go forward and out. And I'm going to do two symmetrically, but then turn off symmetry and then edit them like that. So here we go. Where are we? Mac-On hairbrush. Okay, here we go. Okay, huge. Perfect. Comb over from the back. One thing we can do with these is, yeah, and you can see that when you cross the center, it's going to snap to the center and make one. But after you've drawn a curve, you can change the size of the hair that's going down the length of it by, make sure your brush is not blue. Make sure you go away from it and it's red. You can increase the brush size, then tap on that curve, and it'll make it bigger, like this. Then you can also change the insert mesh brush too, if you want to, like say I want to try this one instead, this wide cover, and then click on the curve. See, it's different. Let me make my brush smaller again. There we go. See how it's just a different brush? We can try this one, flat triple, or this tubes, little tubes. And then, or this triple here. But like I said, I like the wide cover one the best, I think. Maybe this wide cover too. That one. That's the one. Okay. So now I can, like I said, I can kind of drag these up. Looks like Caesar. Okay. And then we can commit them by like clicking on there so the curve goes away. And now we can just grab my favorite to manipulate hair. I don't use the Move brush very much. I either use Snake Hook or I use Move Elastic. Now Move Elastic will move these. I'm going to turn symmetry off. It'll move these in a kind of a larger way. I'm going to turn on topological. Poop in a group, you guys. So see, this is how Elastic moves. You're gonna make me change the color of his hair again. See, it'll kind of manipulate them all really weirdly, but it works. It works really well because it manipulates it all in one kind of lump. I know you guys are gonna make fun of that word, but I don't care. Okay, and it just works well, right? And then you can just kind of it makes it so you can adjust things without bringing in the warbles, making them warbly. Let's pull this in. You want to make the hair look like it originates from somewhere, like this. See that? You guys. And then I'm going to put one more down the center. Okay, let's grab the Macon hairbrush again. And we're going to grab a different one, maybe this one. Put it down the center. Where are you? I guess it wasn't long enough. Come on. Sometimes you just got to draw it somewhere else and then drag it into place. And if you can't see the curve, just kind of move your brush around in that area to see if you can see it a little better. See how easy that is? Easy. It's like cheating. Whoa. That's not what I wanted to do. Just trying to bury it down in there a little bit more. Anyway, can you guys see how, kind of see how easy that Macon hairbrush is to use? It's kind of like this. And the reason I'm doing this way with this hair is because it's underneath that coif thing, right? So I kind of want it to all just stick out, and then I will make it kind of go over just one direction. And so now you can see that it comes with polygroups. But those aren't the polygroups that I want. I don't want it in striped polygroups. I want them in piece polygroups. Piece polygroups. Okay, like, so I'm going to use auto groups, and that's going to put each chunk into its own group. And you can see how the purple is kind of shoved down into that blue? I want to pull it up and get it out of there. So, yeah, he's looking back. He's poking his head out a car window and looking backwards, right? It's like, okay, so then I can grab the snake hook brush, hit topological, turn off our RGB, and then I can isolate one of these. It's always fun to isolate because you can see what's going on. And then pull that purple up and down because I want the purple to start creating his hairline, because I don't necessarily want the blocked out chunk to create his hairline. It's much better if you can let like either hair strands or this Macon hairbrush chunks define the hairline, so it's not just this straight line, or else it's going to look like hair plugs or something, right? So you want it to start to define that, and then I can grab the blue and pull it back and see how it's starting to let that the chunky the hair strands define it instead. Dawson River kids. Does that kind of make sense? Can you guys see that? So it's like so it just looks like a hairline rather than like a, I don't know, straight across. Okay. Now it's all kind of swept to one side in the concept. So I want to see if I can do that. I'm going to turn off topological and try and like herd all of the hairs so it sweeps from one side over to the other. Like this. And then kind of push it together, back and forth. And then I want to sweep it up like this. This is what I was talking about, being able to manipulate it after you've laid it down, right? So you want to have it go from thin to thick to thin again in a lot of places if you can, like this. So try and get some variations and some thicknesses like this, and make it look like it's originating from somewhere like this. You can just kind of bury it in the head. Okay, see that? Now roll, drum roll as we unhide the coif. That sounds horrible. Unhide. What does that even mean? There we go. Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but now we can grab this chainmail, make sure the hair is showing. Where is that hair? Okay, it's right here. I need to make sure I fill it with that color. I think I'm going to fill it with a little bit darker and a little less saturated. Something like this. Okay, now I can grab the chainmail. I want to make sure this is unhidden. Grab that chainmail and this is another great spot to use move elastic without topological on. If you have topological on, you're just going to remove one ring at a time. See that? Maybe 2 rings. So you want to make sure you have topological turned off, and then grab it like this and just move it all together. And it's a little too strong. Let's turn it down to see if we can get it to move less. Just kind of coax it backwards and up around that hair. And then I want to get it kind of closer to his face down here. I want it to come out around his ears, but then be closer to his head. Coif? Yeah, kuaf? Is that what's is it kuaf? I've heard it pronounced coif, but that's I'm sure I'm just destroying the word. Okay, I'm gonna turn off symmetry just to get it around the hair on this side. Okay, and I don't know what this little thing is right here, but we need to get rid of it. What is that? It's a little blue piece. Get out. There we go. Okay. I'm digging it. Is that the safest way you use to not distort the rings too much? Yes. Down the plot hole. That's a great name. The hair looks great. It's always a really hard part for me. Yeah, just I would experiment with the Macon hairbrush first before getting into doing, using like maybe Dylan Eckrins hair or Danny Mac's hair. I think Steven Anderson has a version. Like I said, Vincent Minor has a version. There's a billion hairbrushes out there. My favorite 2 are Dylan Eckrins, and Macon hairbrush is my favorite. It's just really, really nice. It's nice, like I said, I can't say it enough. It's nice for game stuff. It's nice for 3D printing. Like, I could probably print this hair out right now with very few problems. It wouldn't have a lot of problems. I could probably go in there and maybe inflate some of it a bit so it's not so pointy. And you can just take the inflate brush and just lightly inflate some of these just so they're not so thin, and you'd have better results printing them. That's all. And you also don't want to go in there, and Corinne can attest to this. I remember her doing this. She had some ends to hair down here, and you want to kind of group them together in pieces here and there. So when it comes time to retopologize, you're not spending 3 years going up and down every single little strand trying to retopologize all of those. So it's a good idea to group them together. Oh yeah, down the plow. Yeah, that'd be great if you could share that. There are hair braid brushes around a lot. They're all over the place. But yeah, if you wanna share, that'd be great. We used one for Rapunzel. Rapunzel. Where? Yeah, Brad Bollender made his own for Rapunzel, and it was like this really thick braid with tons of hairs going down, and then decorated it with flowers and all sorts of stuff. So, pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Corinne, you learned that lesson really quick. Yeah. That's one of those things that you don't know till you try, right? Like one of those like, oh, dang, maybe I shouldn't have made so many points. And yeah, I'm looking at this and it might be a bit of a nightmare, but you have to kind of squint and see it as more of a whole. So I might pull in some of these little points to be closer into that group. And I can also grab topological and just kind of pull these in closer, just so when I'm topologizing them, retopologizing them, that I can just go right over the top of them without worrying too much about. I mean, you do want some variety in the silhouette, but not like you don't want them to go more like 3, you know, not like 17. Or if you want to send it to shane.olson@3dcharacterworkshop.com, I could add it to the resources section if you'd like. That would be a cool thing. Let's turn on the eyes. Oh, he's got eyelashes. All right. Eyelashes. Why did those go on? All right. He's got stage makeup. And why is there hair? Okay, let me hide this. Delete hidden. There we go. And why do his eyes have lashes? No, where are the oh, there they are. They came from the female head. Okay, that's why. The head that I used to retopologize with, they came with that. Goth sirloin. Yeah, we all have eyelashes. We all have eyelashes. But just not thick, dark eyelashes. That's all. That's all. Okay. Did I miss any questions, you guys? Please let me know if I missed any questions. Okay, so we did take some time. Gosh dang it. Stop. There we go. There we go. So today in this one, we added some gradients. We made the live Boolean not a live Boolean anymore. We actually made it real, so it's not. So it's actually a real mesh. We use ZRemesher 3.0 to do that with. We did the chainmail again, and we have better results now. We painted gradients onto that, and we got his hair looking pretty good. Next, we are going to, so next week, I want to do the high level tertiary details. So I want to go in there and put the yellow. Here, let's look at our concept here. Let's get him kind of looking close. Okay. So the things I want to do, I want to add this leather detail. I want to add these two little things, then the leather detail around the outside. Some of these nicks, the yellow detail on his breastplate here. And just not quite, I will be putting some amount of texturing and weathering in here, but most of that's going to take place in the Substance Designer side. So there's... yeah, like I said, next week I want to dial in his face and get it really looking like him here. But that's most likely going to happen when we go to pose him. So that's where the likeness really happens, is when we start getting him into a pose and not so much in a T-pose. So we'll do that. Yes, Friday is the Q&A session. So Wednesday is the sirloin stuff, where I'm actually taking you through a new model, and Fridays is Q&A session. So I'll be doing one on Friday. So get you. Anyway, I'm anxious to get this. This guy is getting pretty close, and I'm liking the way. Also, when you guys, I wanted to say this. when you are going through and building a character like this, make sure you don't get discouraged by it taking too long, okay? Because it's been this this live stream, not this certain live stream, but these episodes. What is it? Episode 13, right, Donna? So episode 13 we're on right now. I've been talking through this whole the whole time, and it's taking me longer than it would. But I'm still pretty fast at it. Don't let that intimidate you. Please don't compare yourself to where I am at. This is me 20 years later doing this stuff. So don't be intimidated by the speed of it. Just take your time, do your best work, try and look at the concept, try and compare it. And that's kind of how you have to do it. Just go back and forth and back and forth. If something looks wrong, experiment with it. Don't be afraid to push away from it. Save out a new file. Do some tests. Just go back and forth. Like, I can see some stuff like right now that I need to change. Like, it feels like his chest is way too wide compared to the concept. The concept feels very narrow. I'm going to have to go in here and adjust this chest plate. Like, and now that I have it Z-remeshed and it's not all live Boolean together, it's going to be fairly simple to go in here and just tweak it. See that? That feels better. Boom. Something like that. That's what I'm talking about. Just stand back and just like one of those, just trying to look at it and go, what is off? Okay? Don't be in a hurry. It's not a race. You're only in competition with yourself. Don't feel like you're in competition with anybody else in the community or anything like that. It's your timeline, your milestones. You're getting better. Okay? Only compare yourself to yourself if that's possible. Okay? Yes, I'm trying to get the new challenge together. Hopefully this week. I'm trying really hard. I'm making a new lesson, and I want to base the challenge off that lesson. So, and it might be 2 lessons. We'll have to see. But I want to base that challenge off that lesson, so you guys can focus on a certain part. It's I'm working on hands, so you guys can focus on hands. So I hope that drops really soon, and I'll try and get that out as quickly as possible. So thank you guys for your patience, and I will see you on Friday. Okay? And if you guys don't have any more questions, that'll be it for today. Again, thanks so much, you guys. It's been awesome. This guy, I'm pretty happy with how he's turning out. So I'll save it while you guys ask your last questions. And don't be afraid to post in the community either. It's like I say, I sell it as a safe place to post stuff. So please, and also don't be afraid to give some feedback, because part of growing as an artist is learning what to see and how to comment on it, right? And giving other people feedback. Don't feel like I'm the only one that can give feedback. Look what Scott's doing. Look what everybody else is doing in there. Just give feedback, because it'll help. And if you give the wrong feedback, that's okay. And don't feel like you only have to listen to me. If you are an artist just coming up and somebody gives you feedback, take it with a grain of salt, but still try it. Like give it because they're obviously seeing something that you're not, and they're reacting to it. So take that feedback and experiment with it, because like I said, you're on your own path. So experiment with it, try out their suggestions, push it this way, push it that way, and you'll get there. Every single bit of feedback you get is help. So I haven't had anyone yet really be too stinky about feedback. So part of having a job in this industry is being able to take feedback and take it well, whether it's from somebody who knows what they're talking about or doesn't know what they're talking about. You're going to get feedback from clients that are not artists and are not digital sculptors or anything like that, but they are paying you to do something. And they're like, if they say, you know what, that doesn't look right, even if they're not an artist, you're going to have to go, okay, let's figure out what's wrong and fix it, rather than saying, I don't think you're giving me good feedback or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just, part of the job is going to be figuring out how to give and receive feedback. So that's kind of the challenge. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Yep, love you guys. Have a good one. We'll see you on Friday. Take care. Cheers.